So, welcome to navigating the energies, the current energies conversation between human design and the light beings. I'm Robin Wynn. I'm here with Deborah Sudarsky. And in just a moment, we're going to dive into Deborah's connection with the guides and hear what they have to say. Before we do that, though, let's all just take a moment and arrive so that we're available to hear what it is we need to hear, what it is Deborah and I need to say, whatever comes through us. So let's just take a moment to connect with your guidance system. But again, to do that, we first have to gather our energies back to ourselves. We're so prone to putting our energy external, and this really requires bringing our awareness back into this moment to ourselves. And we can easily do that by sensing into our belly center, feeling our sits bones on the chair, bring our awareness to our breath. Just recognizing that we're precious human beings occupying a body as we move through time and space, and we're also quantum multi-dimensional beings with a blueprint, a perfect, beautiful blueprint that is our guide, our map, is our way of walking through the world. So with that, just calling on your guidance system, calling on your the high beings you're connected to, or source, whatever word you would use, inviting them to be here with us in this precious time together. And with that, I just want to invite Deborah to step in here and
I
share.
love you connecting us to the galactic energies and the quantum field and recognition of our place in time and space. And um, I'm just smiling because we've got some work being done on the front of our apartment building, and it settled down as you were talking. And I can actually hear a dove calling,
Mm.
and somehow there's just some magic synastry happening right this second. So that was beautiful. The message I've been getting from our guides, particularly in relationship to time present now, um, having awareness about this eclipse that's coming up on Thursday, and we're in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, which means many of us are going through and sorting through things that are going through our mind and having a chance to reflect on things that we're thinking about and feeling. And what the guide said to me yesterday, which I wrote down, so I'm going to be sort of reading from my note, is that we're all trying new patterns, which may feel very uncomfortable at first, that we're in sort of a new era. There's something about what we're all going through right now which is new. It's not been seen before by us, whether we're trying new things, trying new classes. Many of us have moved through the pandemic. Many of us have losses through the pandemic. Maybe we're not hanging out with the same people we were before, or things have changed for us. And so we're in a new way of being. And oftentimes that's uncomfortable, but it can be exciting. And it's easy to slip into fear sometimes because we're not really knowing what's happening. And so we sometimes regress and go into old patterns of being, old habits, because we know them, they're familiar. But the guides are encouraging us to just continue to stay connected to our heart center and not really identify with some of the thoughts that are going through. Because when you're staying connected to the heart, it really helps you steer in the right direction and to be brave, because we're trying a brave new world and it can be uncomfortable trying new things. I know for me that's true. I lost my dog, and so my daily pattern is different and changed. And sometimes I just find myself feeling sort of uncertain and disconnected. And it's also affording me new opportunities um, to create new patterns in my day, new ways of meditating, and new ways of connecting with energy. And in doing that, I'm kind of overwriting some of those old patterns. And there's something exciting about the new. And so I think the guides have been encouraging new thinking and recognizing new ways of being and pushing us forward and not retreating into old patterns. And if they come up, recognizing them, honoring them, and then letting them go if they're not serving us now.
Wow. Oh, that's so powerful.
Well, it's always interesting. Robin and I never really talk about what's happening from a human design point until we get on here. But I do want to share one other message that I got this morning, which is that we do have these beautiful angels and archangels and ascended masters that have come here, especially for us now. The veil is thinner and we have access. And so each of us, when you have that moment where you're feeling some kind of maybe concern or hesitancy, we have our guides. They're here to protect us and to assist us. And remember to ask for help when you need it. They're here and they're available.
Wow. That is so beautiful. I'm just going to weave right into human design from that. I've got chills over here. Hang on, let me share my screen and talk about where the sun and the earth are transiting this week. So today, the sun moved into gate 45, which is called the queen or the king in human design. And it's really the only place where we're designed to take power. So this week, we're really called to claim our sovereignty, claim our, our capacity to be in that role of determining what's good for us, what's good for the people we serve. To stand in our connection to spirit, and I'll get to that in a minute. To stand in that, to take leadership, truly, to take leadership of our lives and of the world around us. To not be afraid of what we want, what we desire, to not be afraid of shifting those patterns that we've had in the past and seeing, oh, here's my domain and we need a change here. We need to respond differently than we have in the past, right? That's what the leader does. The leader looks around and sees, well, that wasn't working. Let's shift it. Let's shift it so it's more equitable. Let's shift it so there's more joy and peace. Let's take charge. And it's interesting. I've been in a mastermind with Marianne Williamson, and she's really been talking about the time is now for us to, each one of us individually, to take a stand for what's true for us. Which brings me to the earth in gate 26. Now, this is sometimes called the trickster. It comes off the will center. It's all about what do we value, right? The 45 comes off the throat. What are we going to speak? What narrative are we going to speak into the world to create the new domain, the new story, the new life that we're stepping into? The 26 it's the gate of, oh, I wrote that wrong there. This should be the 26. This is the gate of sales. This is the gate of selling something to the tribe. This is tribal energy. Both of these are deeply tribal energies, but it's about connection. What are we going to sell to the tribe? What idea? What thought? What product? I know, Deborah, you have a new book coming out, Embrace Your Guides. This is a time this week to really look at what am I taking leadership in and bringing forth to the tribe, to upgrade, to to bring something of service to the tribe, something that will help us in these times, right? And it's very caring energy. It's very connected energy. What's needed? The 45 as the queen or the king is dispersing the riches to the community, right? To the domain, like what's needed and how do I take care of my people? How do I take care? Well, Deborah, you're doing it by sharing this information that has been downloaded to you of how can you empower yourself, right? How can you connect to your own guidance system? And I just want to weave in here with that Pluto, which is the gate of transformation, is shifting on the 11th from the gate 60, which is all about limitation, creating out of limitation, and really all of us, and Pluto's a slow moving planet, we've all been working within some limitation. And you talked about new patterns. Yeah, the new pattern is, and this is all individual circuitry, we're reaching into the mind of God. We're reaching to our guides. We're reaching to connect with spirit. For the new transformation the transformation is going to be out of connecting to source, connecting to that why, that unknown, that what the mystery of life, right? Rather than creating out of the mud, creating the lotus out of the mud from the root, we're going up to spirit and looking for the guidance and the information from spirit. Yeah, you're nodding your head yes here. So, just taking a breath and taking a moment to invite yourself to connect into your queen or king energy. That's your authority, it's your sovereignty, it's your power that's benevolent. It's your benevolent power. It's not dominant power. It's benevolent power that's considering the well-being of all as you step forward in alignment with service to the highest good, in alignment to not my will but thy will, right? The queen or the king serves the will of the people, really serves the will of spirit, like what is best now in this moment in the world.
I mean, I'm just nodding away here because everything that you're talking about, claiming our sovereignty and what do we value, and it's creating these new pathways, if you will, coming from a new space within us, which is part of creating this new earth. And it's scary at times to create new patterns. And so again, instead of pushing your energy outwards and thinking, this is what I need, recognizing that identifying it from here is how we create that space. And I love that whole Pluto connection to 61 and bringing that energy sort of in that higher godsend. I mean,
Yeah,
it just really connects with the message of this week, I think, in a beautiful way.
I think it does too. And remember, we're grounded by looking at what do we value, being in integrity. This is also the gate of integrity in quantum human design. What do we value? Re-looking at what do we value and then speaking that, taking a stand for that, honoring and respecting that, right? In a benevolent way, a benevolent, powerful way, in a sovereign way to the tribe, in connection, in community. So I think it's a big week. It's a big week if you. It's a big week to stand up and claim your message.
I also feel like as we're talking about it, I sort of am getting this vision that as we're claiming and we're standing in this new ground, that things that don't fit just will fall away, because I don't feel it as a loss. I feel it as a, um, what's the word? Anchoring that new energy there doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like you're moving forward and um, rerouting in some ways, um, which is bringing in this sense of, I guess the word I just keep hearing is creation. So,
You know, when you say that, I just, we were talking about the quantum field, and, you know, like the pattern is a new quantum pattern, really, that we're stepping into in leadership, right? We're moving out of that 3D. You talk about this quite a bit. We're moving out of that 3D where we're plodding along from taking one step at a time to what do we value and creating it, right? It's like without all those steps, it's like there's something that it's a shift that creates a new world. And
totally.
words are hard to say.
I know. I just have to add this. I saw this guy on TikTok today who I guess had a near death experience. And so he was sort of sharing what that looked like. And what he kept talking about was how light it was. And how when he got back in his body, he just couldn't believe how heavy and archaic everything was. The body, the three-dimensional life here. And I just kept feeling that really light, bright quantum energy. And it's really light. It's full of possibility, it's full of healing, it's full of joy. And so that is on the other side of some of these patterns. When we get through them, there's this incredible energy for us and incredible joy waiting for us as we let go of the things that no longer work for us.
It's almost when you say that, I feel like even the name king and queen have a kind of a medieval, you know, image that come with them with, you know, the armor. It's
The
like, oh
armor,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like okay, we can let go, we can put down the shield and the sword and all the armor and open to a new power, a new a lighter, vulnerable in a like what's the word? It's like impenetrable way, like in a like when I think of a vajra in Tibetan Buddhism, like a powerful, like unwavering way. I, language is not happening to me so well this morning, but
I think I totally am getting what you're saying, and I think what the guides are sharing with me right now is our potential is so much greater than we know, and we get caught up in our thoughts, in our old patterns of how we do things, and don't realize how much energy there is and how much potential there is for us to tap into. And there is just so much positive energy on the planet. And it's easy to get caught up in some of these 3D things, news events, and all that. But there is untapped potential. And I think there's excitement and there's possibility and there's potential and there's joy and there's laughter and there's all sorts of good stuff. Just learning how to access it through these new ways of being.
so I do want to. I 100% yes, hallelujah, of course, absolutely. I love that. And I do want to also put the shadow side in here just so that if you find yourself this week like misusing your king or queen or feeling afraid of that sovereignty, because that can happen too, like, right, why don't we step into our sovereignty? Why don't we take off the armor? Why don't we let those patterns go? You know, what are we afraid of selling, or what new narrative are we afraid of expressing that shares our sovereignty? And I'll just tell you a brief story on my end where it kind of got triggered when you were saying this, like, yeah, there's so much light out there, there's so much possibility. And I was having a conversation with one of my brothers yesterday who's forming a um, a nonprofit, Quantum Love nonprofit, and he's looking for people who, are going to do big projects for it, to fund big projects. He's looking to fund big projects, and he's telling me, Robs, think big, plan big, really think big. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, I've got to think big. I've got to step into my queen and say, okay, let me think big here instead of I've got a trajectory which is big to me. My trajectory of training coaches and therapists to use human design, that's big to me. But he's saying, think big. I'm like, okay.
Bigger. He's saying
Bigger.
think bigger.
Bigger. Think bigger. So that's, there's a bigger message here. What is it for each of us to ask ourselves, if we're thinking big, what would that be? Can we give ourselves the permission to think, to dream big, really? Right? Pluto's like not in limitation anymore. Transformation is going to be coming from spirit. Show me what my service is at the next level. Right? So
that's incredible. It's the timeliness of that story with regard to what you just described with the transit this week seems very apropos.
Yeah. So it can be scary to step into, or daunting to step into, our sovereignty also, right? It's there for the taking. This week we have a big burst of feeling it, allowing it, imprinting it. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, newness sometimes is terrifying, even though it's what we want. We ask for it and we dream of it, and then it arrives and we're like, oh, it's uncomfortable. I don't know how to get comfortable in this yet. And I think that's where what the excitement is, if we can look at it from that point of view.
I just feel my heart as you're talking, and I can just feel there's so much for us to give and share, and there's so much that's waiting, but we have to step up.
We are birthing a new time and a new era, and it's now.
I think that's a great place to kind of come to a close, unless there's more that you're getting to say.
No.
So we're coming to a new time, a new era, and it's now. It's now. So let's just take a moment and again come back to ourselves if we've moved away a little bit, just to acknowledge the sovereignty that we are, the right that we have to be the authority of our own lives, the right and necessity to connect to spirit, connect to source, and to bring something to the tribe of value as we make this shift to a new world, a lighter, brighter world. Just allowing ourselves to relax into that lightness without understanding it or knowing it, just to call it into being just in this moment. And giving thanks, appreciation, gratitude, offering whatever we've received from our time together for the benefit of all beings. And so it is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Please share this video if you think it would benefit anyone else. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week. Looks like we're meeting at 11 Pacific, 11:30ish.
Yeah.
11:20ish, 11:30ish Pacific on Mondays. We're giving that time a try.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.